All villains have to be sympathetic these days. If we don't have something we can cry about, your villain is trash. If they don't have a sickly child or they were abused by their sickly parents, we don't want them. Take them back.
No, Daddy, no!
I'm sorry, what's that? Your villain wasn't beaten up as a kid? Oh, good. Embarrassing, dude. Couldn't be me. Imagine not being beat up as a kid. A few weeks ago, I released one of my most disliked videos ever of all time on YouTube. I gave Scar King a low score because he's not a good villain, and people were really cool about it, really understanding, lots of good criticism. Shout out to them. A few kids did say though, they said, hey, why can't villains just be evil for the sake of being evil anymore? And villain motives are one of the best parts of the villain, so I take this seriously. I think villains don't have to be sympathetic, but they also just can't be evil. The age of those goofs is over. That's a wrap. Finito. It's important to know the difference between antagonist and villain. The definition of villain is someone whose evil or immoral acts are important to the story. Don't worry, I'm only pulling one definition on you guys today, okay? Which begs the question, what does it mean to do evil? The definition of evil is immoral or wicked deeds, like what happens after in the bathroom after too much Taco Bell. Now we could get really into your brain wrinkles right now and talk about objective morality, but let's not. Thanos wants to destroy half the world, which most people would assume is immoral, but to him, it's not. I'm gonna have a headache after this. I don't like this, thinking about morality. I'm not a philosopher, I'm a guy on YouTube. When T-Rex wants to murder someone, he's really doing it because he's hangry. Although murder is immoral, but to him, it's not, because he's hungry. Man, I'm thinking too deep here. I think we've all learned a little bit here, right? I can move on. Being evil isn't a motive. That's the thing. It's a trait. People aren't born evil, so most characters have that willingness to do bad even when they know it's bad. You can have someone like Thanos who in his mind is doing it for a good reason, but he knows murder is bad and he just says F it. The ends have to justify the means. So when people say, oh, why can't villains just be evil anymore? That's kind of stupid. That's like saying, why can't heroes just be good? You know, why do they have to have a reason for doing what they're doing? That's dumb. And that's where villains mess up with the motives a lot, because they have bad reasons for doing their bad things, if they even have a reason at all. There's no end, only means, done by the meanies, bobinis. This is also where sympathetic motives come into play, which, don't get me wrong, is a very effective way to explain their means. We as audiences love interesting characters we can relate to and see ourselves in. Most of the time, this is used in forming the protagonist, because connecting the audience to the film's main character is fantastic storytelling. So along the way back in the 1600s, when whoever was writing the first sympathetic, whoever that guy was, that villain, the writer probably said, hold up, why don't we take this idea of a sympathetic protagonist and push it somewhere else, to the villains. Connecting the audience to the villain, that makes them a lot more interesting, more memorable, especially over villains who do bad things for no reason outside of just being stopped by the hero. Mr. Freeze wants to be a jerk because it could save his wife. Maybe what would I do if I was in his shoes? Maybe I'd try to kill Batman too. What do I do? Wanting to take over the world, wanting power, wanting money. All of these most of the time aren't good motives, because that's usually where it ends. There's no reason they want power or money. They just do. I'm not saying these motives are never done right, because sometimes they absolutely are. Just like everything else in a story, motives take effort, and the sucky thing is, so many times, they're the first thing on the chopping block for what to cut. How many times do we hear people say that, oh, in the book, the villain had such a better backstory and motivation. Oh, in the deleted scene, the whole villain backstory is explained. If you want a textbook analysis of what makes a fantastic power motive and how we can still get good versions of that in 2024 in the modern day, check out this analysis I found on Dementis from Furiosa. You're gonna want to check it out. The guy's pretty cool. You should subscribe to him too. So no, silly, villains don't have to be sympathetic, but they can't just be evil. Man, why can't characters just be sad for the sake of being sad? They need a reason, because that's how people work. Everyone has a reason for everything they do, no matter how stupid their action is. And it's that exact reason that makes a villain good good or not. They can do it for literally whatever reason you want, but there has to be a reason, or else you get put at the bottom of my villain tier list 2024. That's a segue. Check it out. I ranked all the villains from 2024. Thanks for watching, Brooklanders. Hit subscribe. Also, subscribe to the second channel. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. More villain reviews, more video essays coming out all the time. I'll see you around.